A very good morning to you. Welcome to the third in a three-part series of Decluttering for Prosperity. So for those of you who've joined the 10-day challenge, the 10-day declutter challenge, I'm sure you have experienced shifts, whether in your mindset, where you go against that familiar voice that justifies, don't do lah, nobody knows why bother, whether it's a load off, where one of the moms, and thank you for sharing, Mindy, she actually showed me WhatsApp 4 big plastic bags where she cleared because she was inspired. So good for you. Or whether you basically just have clarity from a more organized space. So kudos to you for taking actions towards your success. I'd love to read any stories you have, any questions you have. And given today is the 8th day, I'm so excited. So prior to this, I literally cleared out a drawer, and the sense of achievement is like, wow. So if you're running out of space, of things to clear, well, you only have 10 days worth of stuff to clear, be happy, because today I will be covering 5 different areas to clear for prosperity. The 5 will be physical space, which is what we've been doing, financial, knowledge, digital, and emotional spaces. And as we start this morning, I'd love to say a hi, to see a hi from you. And if you can just say something, because what I see is viewers, right? But I don't really know who you are, and it would be great to connect, okay? So let's start first with your physical space, right? And I want to do a very quick recap on the first one as I share, but let me bring up my slides. Okay. And if you can just say hi so I get a sense of who you are, that would be great in me just connecting with you. Okay, this is the... Okay, so this is the first, right, where we covered physical spaces. So very, very stark contrast you would see between the cluttered boxes and the very good space on the right, where what we talk about is, number one, with physical space, take a walk through your entire house and just come up with a list. Which are areas you would want to declutter or repair? So for example, if the lights are not working, the hinges are creaking, all it takes is just a bottle of oil. But it's not just a load off, but it's empowerment and like, yes, everything in my space works for me. If the clock just needs a new battery, just fix it. Yeah. So, and for those of you who are watching for the first time, so creating a physical space literally removes what you don't want by challenging our limiting beliefs that have kept the clutter there for the longest time. So our thought pattern, right, is such that when nothing is ruffled, everything is the same, status quo, it's still very much the same. But when we try to break out, when we try to do something different, that's where, as if there are little guards in our head, will try to pull us back to our small little comfort zone. Okay, and then we remember we covered 2 key things. What if I still need it? Or it's too expensive when I first bought it, too sayang, too wasted to throw, 2 common thoughts. And this, like what I wrote, it comes from the root of either fear, negativity, or scarcity. And as we take actions opposite of fear, negativity, and scarcity, we literally create the opposite, which is abundance, which is love, which is I'm worth it. And given, we all know this, what we focus on expands. When we choose to remove the negative thoughts, positive ones will come in to fill the vacuum because we have just made space for it. Yeah. So let's interrupt our thought patterns. And I trust the 10-day challenge has been wonderful. If you want to be tagged, just put in your name as we move on to the second one. But I want to say something, right, about this whole decluttering. I think at the end of it, right, the main principle of the entire exercise, it's really clear, getting present first to what we don't want. All right. And that's why I covered these 5 different areas. And it's not just getting present, it's as we remove them, we create a new space for what we want. So decluttering is not just throwing for the sake of throwing. No, not at all. It's to remove the old and to replace it with something that I want. And for some of us, we may not even know what we want because we've been living with the old for so long. But I invite us to begin, as we begin to clear, it actually gives clarity, and you will begin to know what you want. Okay. So the second that I want to talk about is our financial space. And in financial space, let me just. So when I talk about our financial space, money, right? That's what started this whole thing. I define our financial space as anything in our life to do with money. So I'll just take a very simple one for today, right? Because there are so many areas in our life. Just our wallet. I want you to take a sense of your wallet now here today, however many wallets you have, okay? So I want to ask you a few questions. Is your wallet thick or is it thin? Okay. Mine used to be very, very thick. Very, very thick, very, very cluttered. It's full of receipts, so full of coupons, full of a lot of credit cards, notes, and coins. So this is what I want to say, right? Let's just start with how, as I began to throw away, it began to really elevate me to the next level. I used to collect those small, like KFC coupons. Yes, maybe now you tell me, Junior, we're going digital. But for me, last time, call it, maybe the auntie in me, I want to save money. So a few cents also good. But I realized as I began to boldly take the whole stack and throw and say, you know what, it's good to have them, thank you, but it's okay too, because I realize even though I bring it with me, I will end up not using it. So my wallet will have so many of this that I think maybe I will use it, but the reality is I rarely use it. I realize that now where I am, as it shifts, right, as I do not have those coupons, is I begin to look at the menu and choose what do I want in the moment. In the past, my mindset was, which one got offer? And then I buy the one with offer. There's no wrong, there's no right, right? But I think instead of coming from the point of what has offer and what saves me money, coming from what do I want? And that is a more empowering space to be, because that comes from loving me, okay? And I'm not going to go into that for that. That's coupons. Receipts, clear it out. The receipts that don't serve you, that you don't need, clear it out, because our wallet is meant to attract wealth. So let's create the space for it. The other thing I want to talk about is credit cards. I don't know about you, but I used to have more than 20 credit cards. Why? Because to be very frank, I was always attracted by the free gift that they give every time you sign up a credit card, right? And even if there was no free gift, I always felt sorry for the salesperson. And that when the salespeople tell me, I get $5, I have a quota to hit, I was like, it cost me nothing to just sign up, fill up a form, give them my IC, photocopy, and I get to help someone. That used to be my mentality. Until what came back to me was I realized that, with all the many 20 over credit cards, I'm always missing on the annual fee. So there's an annual fee. So I'll be calling them because I hardly use 20. It's all for show, right? It looks nice, but it doesn't serve any function. I will call 10 minutes because they put you on hold. Sometimes they need to verify. 10 minutes of my time wasted, and that's just on one card on an annual basis. That's just one. And remember, because I have 20 cards, right? Because Junior is not organized, I will tend to forget to pay. So it's not that I don't have cash, right? It's just that I forget to transfer. And then there goes another 10 minutes of calling them. I'm so sorry. Can you waive the late fee and the finance charges, which they so far always do? But it's the hassle of calling them that eats into my time and my space. So what I did, I cleared it all. Really. One day, I just decided when the credit card company called me to tell me about some service charge or something, I said, you know what? I'm going to cancel the card. I went, I cut. And initially, it wasn't like I cleared all 15 of them one time. It was clearing a bit by a bit by a bit. But today, where I am is I only have 3 credit cards, and each of them for different purposes. There's so much clarity. My wallet is so much smaller. And for those of you, one trick to increase your finances, I don't know what you used to have inside your wallet. I didn't used to carry a lot of cash because fear again, right? Remember we talked about the limiting beliefs earlier. Scared my wallet gets stolen, or I lose my money, which I've done, lose my wallet. But now, so this is what I have in my wallet. So without anything, right? I just went to take to see how much I have. 2, 4, 6. Not yet 1,000, but this is an exercise, right, that I learned from a wealth guru, where basically what she said is, if we want abundance, the principle is, how does carrying a lot of money feel like to you? Okay, so to each of us, we have different thresholds. Some are very comfortable with carrying $2,000 around because they've been doing that their whole life. But if you look at those who are really rich, I remember bosses. I remember this guy, he took out from his pocket now a stack of $100 notes. And I was like, it's literally a stack. And I'm like, wow. So I began to try it. So if you want, try it. Just try it on, right? Initially, when I first had like $1,000 in my wallet, there was a bit of fear. It's like, oh my goodness, I have never carried $1,000. I mean, I've carried like 20,000, but that is into transport. But permanently in my wallet, close to $1,000, I was like, oh my goodness. But what began to shift, right, is I remember as I hold my wallet, I'm like, okay, I want this. I've got the cash for it. And it's literally a mindset shift. So I invite you, if you want, to try what I've just said, declutter your wallet today and bring in wealth, bring in cash. Together with that, I want to move on to the third one, which is what I call my knowledge space. Before I go on, if you have any questions, please type in your questions. If you agree, please give me thumbs up, because having some response is better than no feedback. Okay, so when I talk about knowledge, right, I love to learn. I've loved to learn since I was young, not academic, but I love to understand human beings. And that's why I did sociology in university, right? So in my house, there are many books, there are many videos, and given I've gone for so many courses, there are many materials. A lot of them are in files, right? Over the years. So I've got more than 50 if we really look at the individual files and my course notes and my materials. And this is where I want to say that how I decluttered is, number one, being selective. So while knowledge is not a bad thing, I want us to look at this quote that Einstein, I love Einstein, says, okay? He says, experience is knowledge. All the rest, just information. And I love what he says, okay? I'm going to read it again. Experience is knowledge. All the rest is just information. And what he means by that really is, at the end of it, we build up information, but information, when not the keyword is applied, is effectively useless. Okay? And I will go as far as to say, in our education system, it's called front-end loading, right? Where most of us study for the first 20 years of our life and spend the rest of our life working, okay? That's why it's called front-end loading. Yes, I love the Singapore system because they've introduced a lifelong learning institute where the heart is that we can continue to take ad hoc courses long after we graduate to make learning a lifelong habit. And that's something that I'm completely in line with. And yet, for me, my question is this: how much knowledge, or not knowledge, how much information do we really need? I used to have the shiny object syndrome. If some of you can identify with it, I got course here, teach me about marketing, I need that. I got course, teach me 3 secrets, I need that. It's like everything I need, right? So a lot of input, because that's my natural strength. I love to learn. But at the same time, one day my husband was so pissed with me, right? Because I think in that particular year, I spent more than 30,000 just in 1 year, okay, on courses. And he was like, how has that made you a better person? And it really made me reflect. So instead of signing up for more courses, I chose to apply from the courses that I've learned. And that is where I want to challenge you, okay? With this thing, what I call the knowing-doing gap. So for a lot of us, there is that knowing-doing gap. Let me give you an example, okay? For those of you, I'm going to use a very simple one. We know so much, okay? And if we were to apply just a fraction of what we know, our lives, trust me, will be drastically different. So yes, you heard me. We don't need to go for more courses, literally, if we were to just apply. I give you an example. How many of you are not happy with your weight for now? Or your physique, right? Whichever, maybe your weight is fine, but for me, I want more toned arms, okay? So my question is this: what are 2 ways, let's test your information. What are 2 ways you could reach your ideal weight? You would know, right? It's watching the food that we take in and exercising. So do either more or less of either. So yes, we know enough, but how many of us actually do it? And that is precisely why I say the biggest gap is 12 inches, right? They joke between the head and the heart, because the head knows what to do, but the heart, our past experiences, our limiting beliefs, causes us to stay stuck in where we are. If we can draw that connect and with the knowing, doing, remove the gap and begin to just do one a day. And that's why I created the 10-day declutter challenge. A lot of people, Junior, I know about decluttering. Yes, I know you know it as a topic. How have you experienced the benefits of it unleashed in your life? If you declutter like 10 days consecutively, just take 5 minutes a day. Why I made it so simple is my heart is just so that it becomes a habit. It becomes a habit when you act on something immediately. You see something and then we act on it instead of like see and then next time later, which is another procrastinating habit, right? So so that is why, regardless of how you feel, I'm sure that for all of us, we all know that what changes our lives is really actions, not based on my feelings. And that is why Modern Asian Mother's tagline is transforming mindsets, one action at a time. Because if we were just to talk about mindset, it's going to be too abstract. And this other quote, I want to end the third point with Lao Tzu, a very famous Chinese scholar. What he says is, to attain knowledge, we add things every day. But to attain wisdom, we remove things every day. So what he's trying to say, right, is basically to simplify. You would know the most powerful speaker, those who are the most learned, are able to very concisely speak their mind because they've reduced it to the simplest form. I don't just think it's in our thought. I believe that it's in our physical space, because if my whole being is about removing what needs to and cutting it down to the essence, to the main key important things, that shows to me wisdom, applied knowledge. And moving on to the fourth one is what I call digital space. This I want to show you is a picture of my desktop. So on the left, you can see, right, super messy desktop. And actually it was worse, okay? If it this one is already, I think there's an automatic app that I accidentally pressed and then it began to have systematic rows and columns for me. If not, it would be all over the place. And notice that the backdrop, right, is just a template that was inside the MacBook. Okay, so I literally took, I think this was like 15 minutes, if not 20 minutes, sitting down where I began to just remove, right? I literally threw many into my trash bin. And then I began to consolidate. So it was 2-in-1 exercise. I didn't just throw, but I began to organize, not everything, but in big chunks. So for example, instead of having 3 Modern Asian mother files, each for different ones, I began to just have one main one and throw the 2 sub ones inside and rename each of them. So in just 15 minutes. So I didn't spend a lot of time. It's definitely something that I will be doing again. But now when I open my laptop and I look at it, in the background is a picture of my dream house. So it's a swimming pool and then the river there, okay? So I invite you to look, when we talk about digital space, it includes not just our laptop, but our apps on our phone, our email list. It is common knowledge now that the more apps we have, the more are open and running, it slows down the processing speed. Likewise, the more things we have in our mind, the less focused we are on each of them. And that's no wonder we will not be able to concentrate deeply, okay? So what if we were to delete the things we no longer need and organize those that we have? So sometimes one of the many things I do when I'm on the train, what I do is I literally take out my phone and I unsubscribe. So all this is a result. You may be very different from me, but I ask you to look for the principles and apply it in a way that serves you. So I used to subscribe to many things because of the shiny syndrome of Jack, right? This one also on so many mailing lists. And I began to just unsubscribe from the different lists that were once important to me. And trust me, I had to break through a lot of limiting beliefs because so much of my mind says, hey, but maybe you will need that. You never know when you will need this. Are you sure you want to do that away? Once it's deleted, it's gone forever. And with bonus, as I begin to really cut away, I cut away with those that I'm sure. And then I take a bit more risk by cutting away with those that, the truth is, I haven't been opening this for more than 2 years, right? And they keep sending it to me every month or every bi-monthly. And as I begin to remove, right, it's not just that I am more confident now as a person. I think one of the benefits of that is I'm no longer as insecure. So one of the mindsets that I have realized about me is in the past, when I began to grab FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. Don't miss out on this, don't miss out on that it feed my insecurity. But as I refuse to continue to feed my insecurity, and I choose to just, you know what? No, this, I am enough. I'm good enough. What I know is enough. Let's just apply. And I create spaces to apply. I create spaces to practice what I've learned, to walk my talk. Something in me just shifts to the next level of confidence. So I invite you to try for yourself to see what opens up for you. Yeah. And the last one that I want to cover is what I call our emotional spaces. So you will see right in the middle of this picture, there are different emotions, right? One is an upward spiral, one is a downward spiral. So the so the pictures and the words are as follows, right? Where emotional space is where I take stock of how I'm feeling. I want to ask you, are you aware of your default emotion? How are you feeling now? I am feeling excited because I get to share with people, and I love developing or just being a contribution to others. So I'm in a very good space now. But my question to you is, so how are you feeling now? Like, if you just get in touch, I'm a bit fill in the blank for you. And then my next question, how do you feel when you wake up in the morning? Right? Or how do you feel just before sleeping? Tonight, ask yourself, how am I feeling? Am I feeling accomplished? Because for me, so let me share. I used to, even though positivity is one of my strengths, right? I realized that I used to think so much, and so many of the thoughts were negative, that I was worrying without realizing that I was doing that every night before I sleep. I haven't done this, I haven't done that, I haven't done that. Oh no, I'm behind on this. And as all these negative thoughts begin to rehash in my mind, can you imagine the quality of my sleep? So a very simple emotions test, as I do now, is just touching my heart and asking me, how do I feel now? So for example, at 12 noon, I do have fixed times, right? Where I ask, how am I feeling now? Am I anxious? Do I feel like I've fallen back behind on schedule? Am I upset with my helper? You know, I just get present to my emotions. And then as I get present to my emotion, am I feeling inspired, resentful, worried, fearful? You see, the reality is many of us live with our default emotions for so long that it becomes so familiar. We're so used to it. My husband was sharing how he met this lady whom we sold our twin stroller to many years ago. Okay, so this is a stranger, but he could literally sense a heaviness around her, as she came to him, right? And as soon as she met him, she went on to tell my husband how sad her life was as a single mom, that she had to bring up 2 kids. And then, and that didn't stop, right? She went on to complain about a particular stain that he already told her that was there and that she could just wash off. The point is, in 3 minutes, just before, and he couldn't wait to just be away from her, right? It's like she's full of it and she doesn't even know. That is really her reality. I must really tell you my sad life. I'm a single mom. Don't have money, must bring up my kids. And that's her reality, you see? So as the thoughts, right, and the emotions, right, are constantly there, it's no wonder it becomes familiar for her. So I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm here to say that once upon a time in my life, I was angry. I was an angry mom. I was constantly shouting at my kids, at my husband, and I think I was most angry at me, right? And awareness is one of the key steps to identifying what is my default emotion as of now. And after we have identified it, it's literally to clear it. So you would look at the lady, right, on the left. So clear the negative on the right. So frustration, impatience, doubt, irritation, insecurity, guilt. These are lower energy emotions. And as we begin to clear, don't just clear, right? If you clear and leave the vacuum, that's not how nature works. Begin to choose, how do you want to feel today? And in probably another video, I will show how I created, where I helped my kids even identify how they were feeling. And after they identify how they were feeling, I had an emotion wheel, actually. I asked them, so where do you want to be, right? So it could be any emotion that serves you. It could be joy, love, passion, empowerment, enthusiasm, belief, even contentment, even chill. Whatever you choose, it's a space, it's an emotion that you can create as your default. So I would end with saying emotional clutter is our brain's version of living in a hoarder's house. As we clear out, and one of the ways we clear out by putting down the weight of the past. That's a lot of healing that I have been through. It makes us less stressed, volatile, and a lot more patient. So a few things we can do: journaling. That's something where I just express how I feel, to allow the subconscious thoughts to just be poured out instead of suppressing them in. Exercising. For me, I'm someone who I enjoy the endorphins that are released, okay, when I cycle or when I jog. Counseling, some with trauma, you may choose that. Meditation. So there are countless ways, and that's not the purpose of today. But if you know that, hey, my emotions are not in a space that I would ideally prefer, then choose to take actions, whether it's hanging out with a friend, right? Or changing your group of friends. For example, and we all know this, right? Our average emotion is the sum average of the 5 people that we hang around the most. We know that for money, but also emotions, right? So who are the people in your life now, if you were to look, that you're really upset with or a little irritated by? Because that is probably a familiar pattern. And as you deal directly with that particular relationship, as you clean it up, which is what I will probably be sharing next week when I go deep into relationships, because what my heart is about is really connecting parents with kids. So relationships, yeah. It really leaves you in a very good space, in a very, very good space. So release the baggages of the past, smile for the present, because as we are aware of our current emotions, we are creating the future. And with that, I want to thank you. You have a blessed start to your day. And this is Junior Tan signing off. You be blessed. Hi, Charlene. Hi, Megan. I just saw you. Have a blessed day and share this with your friends if it has been most useful for you.